Ladies and gentlemen, let's get real for just a moment. Mental health, it isn't a buzzword. It's not some trendy topic to post about when you're bored. It's your foundation, your starting point, your battleground. Mental health isn't optional, it's foundational. You can try to ignore it, you can pretend you've got it all together, but life has a brutal way of exposing the truth. You can build the most successful career, surround yourself with luxury, wear a smile that convinces the world. But if your mind is crumbling behind the scenes, none of it lasts. Everything collapses eventually when the foundation is cracked. And mental health is that foundation. It's the bedrock that holds up your discipline, your relationships, your ambition, your ability to love, to fight, to keep moving forward. You don't get to skip over your mind and expect your life to work. You don't get to neglect your emotional well-being and think the consequences will wait. They won't. Because what you refuse to address in silence begins to scream in your actions, your attitude, your choices. It shows up in self-sabotage. It shows up in explosive anger, in anxiety that doesn't let you sleep, in the way you can't seem to connect with anyone anymore. You start losing your fire and calling it burnout. You start pushing people away and calling it independence. You start breaking down and calling it just a phase. But deep down, you know something isn't right. You know you're carrying things that are too heavy to hold alone. You know you've built walls so high, even you can't see over them anymore, and maybe you think you're doing the strong thing, toughing it out, bottling it up. But is it really strength if it's destroying you? Is it really strength if the price is your peace, your joy, your clarity, your future? Strength is not about pretending. It's about confronting, facing the discomfort, the trauma, the buried pain, and doing the inner work that no one sees. That's the real battlefield, not the boardroom, not the gym, not the next goal. The real war is the one inside your mind, and if you lose that war, nothing else you conquer matters. You've got to make peace with yourself before you can truly win in life. Mental health is not a luxury. It's not something you get around to when things calm down. It's the reason things can calm down. It's not a side quest, it's the main mission. Because everything else, your relationships, your work, your drive, your decisions, flows from it. You can't pour from an empty mind. You can't lead with a broken soul. You can't keep building if the foundation keeps cracking. So maybe it's time to stop running. Time to stop hiding behind distractions and busy schedules. Time to look in the mirror and say, I matter, my healing matters, my mind matters, and not later, not when it's convenient, but now, because this isn't about being perfect. It's about being whole. And it all starts with honoring the one truth too many people avoid. Mental health isn't optional. It's foundational. Pain doesn't vanish when you ignore it. It multiplies. That's a truth most people learn the hard way. We live in a world that teaches us to hide our wounds, to keep smiling while we're breaking inside, to stay productive no matter what it costs us mentally. But suppressing pain doesn't make it disappear, it buries it deep enough to grow. What you choose not to face today doesn't just stay dormant. It festers, it expands, and it eventually takes over. Emotional pain, when ignored, turns into anxiety that won't let you sleep, irritability that ruins your closest relationships, and burnout that empties your soul until there's nothing left to give. It starts small. A little sadness here, a wave of frustration there. You tell yourself it's not a big deal. You distract yourself with work, with noise, with scrolling, with pretending everything's fine. But pain doesn't go away just because you're tired of feeling it. It waits, it hides in your habits, in your silence, in the way you react to people who love you. And one day it shows up, not as a whisper, but as a scream. Suddenly, you're snapping over small things. You're losing focus. You feel disconnected from others and from yourself, and you wonder why now. But it was always there. You just kept trying to bury it alive. And what happens when you bury something alive? It fights to come back up. That's pain. It's not weakness to feel it. It's human. What's dangerous is pretending it isn't there. Every time you silence your pain, you teach yourself that your feelings are invalid, that your struggle isn't real, that your emotions don't deserve space, but they do, because that pain is trying to tell you something. It's your body, your mind, your soul, screaming for attention, for healing, for change. And the more you ignore it, the more chaotic it becomes. People think ignoring pain is resilience, but real resilience is the opposite. It's saying, this hurts, this is heavy, but I'm not running from it anymore. That's power. That's ownership. Healing doesn't start with pretending the pain doesn't exist. It starts with accepting that it does, and then choosing to work through it, piece by piece. Yes, it's uncomfortable. Yes, it's slow. But every step you take into your pain is a step out of it. There's no shortcut, no escape hatch. The only way out is through. When you avoid pain, you don't avoid the damage, you delay it, you multiply it. And in the process, you risk losing parts of yourself that once made you whole. But when you face it, when you actually sit with it, unpack it, listen to what it's been trying to say, you start taking your power back. You stop being a prisoner of your past. You stop letting old wounds write your future, because no matter how dark it feels, pain is not the enemy, ignoring it is. You can lie to others, but your soul always keeps score. You can smile when you're crumbling inside, nod when you're screaming silently, and laugh while your heart begs for relief. You can convince the world you're okay, act tough, speak strong, walk tall, but your inner self, it never forgets. It knows when you're not being real. It records every compromise, every moment you betray your truth just to keep the peace, avoid discomfort, or please someone else. And over time, those small lies add up, not just in your memory, but in your spirit. You carry them, you feel them, they weigh you down in ways words can't explain. There's a cost to living out of alignment with who you truly are. It doesn't show up instantly, it creeps in slowly. You start to feel exhausted, but you're not sure why. You begin to lose interest in things that once made you feel alive. Your relationships become strained, not because of what's said, but because of what's left unsaid. Because deep down, you're disconnected from your own voice. You've been hiding your pain, your truth, your needs, even from yourself. And your soul, it's been keeping track of it all. Every time you say, I'm fine, when you're not, your soul makes a mark. Every time you stay silent, when your heart is begging to speak, your soul takes note. Every time you act like something doesn't bother you, just to avoid conflict or discomfort, you chip away at your own authenticity, and eventually you find yourself wondering, why don't I feel like me anymore? It's because the version of you that once spoke freely, felt deeply, and lived honestly has been pushed into the shadows, covered up by lies that sound like strength but taste like defeat. This isn't about blaming yourself for coping. Sometimes hiding how we feel feels like the only option. Sometimes pretending is survival. But when pretending becomes your way of life, it becomes a prison, and that prison is built brick by brick with every unspoken truth. Your soul, the deepest, truest part of you, wants freedom, it wants honesty, it wants alignment, and it will never stop keeping score until you listen to what it's been trying to say all along. You can lie to your friends, your family, your boss, even your reflection. But you cannot lie to your soul without consequences. You can't fake your way to peace. You can't perform your way into purpose. True fulfillment only comes when your actions reflect your values, your words reflect your heart, and your path reflects your truth. That's the only scoreboard that really matters, not what people think, not how perfect your life looks on the outside, but whether your soul is still with you, still whole, still at peace, because the moment you stop lying, even just to yourself, is the moment you start healing. And the moment you start healing is the moment your soul stops keeping score, because it finally feels seen. Strength isn't pretending you're fine, it's having the courage to confront what you're not. There's a common misconception in our culture that strength means never showing vulnerability, never asking for help, and always carrying the weight of the world with a stoic face. We've been conditioned to believe that showing our weaknesses is somehow a flaw, something to be hidden or fixed as quickly as possible. But in reality, that's not strength. It's a facade, a mask that hides the truth of what's going on inside. Strength doesn't come from pretending to be something you're not. It comes from being honest with yourself and others about what's really going on. It's about acknowledging your limitations, facing your fears, and embracing the parts of you that might feel broken or imperfect. We all have moments when we feel lost, when we struggle, when we feel like we're failing. The world teaches us to bury those moments, to hide them behind a smile or a busy schedule, but in doing so, we deny ourselves the opportunity to heal, to grow, and to truly live with purpose. Strength is not about holding everything together while everything falls apart inside. It's about having the courage to say, I need help. I'm not okay. I'm struggling, but I'm willing to face it. It takes far more courage to admit your pain than it does to run from it. Pretending you're fine might seem easier in the short term, but in the long run, it's like trying to build a house on a cracked foundation. The more you ignore the cracks, the more the house begins to crumble. The same goes for your mental health, your emotional well-being, and your personal growth. When you deny your struggles, they don't go away. They only grow more complex, more ingrained, until one day they consume you. Strength is found in facing the things that scare you the most, whether it's fear, insecurity, grief, or failure. Strength is not about being invincible, it's about being real. Being real means sitting with discomfort and not running from it. It means asking yourself hard questions, confronting your limitations, and choosing to grow even when it feels painful. It's about acknowledging the parts of you that are broken and choosing to heal them. It's about saying, I'm not perfect, but I'm doing the best I can, and that's enough. Strength is built in the moments when you feel weakest, when you're most vulnerable, and you choose to rise anyway. It's in those moments that true character is forged, not in how well you hide your weaknesses, but in how bravely you face them. When you confront what you're not, when you own your flaws, your fears, and your struggles, you give yourself the chance to become who you truly are. You stop living in the shadows of what you think you should be and start embracing the power of being exactly who you are, flaws and all. That's the kind of strength that changes lives, not the kind that comes from pretending, but the kind that comes from real, raw courage. The courage to face yourself and say, I will not run. I will not hide. I will confront what I'm not, so I can become all that I am meant to be. That is the true definition of strength. You are not weak for struggling. You're human. The weight of the world often falls on us in ways we don't expect, and it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that if we're struggling, we must be failing. We compare ourselves to others, and we see their achievements, their strength, their ability to push through difficult times, and we feel inadequate. We tell ourselves that we should be able to handle things better, that if we were stronger, we wouldn't be struggling at all. But the truth is, struggling doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. Every single person on this planet goes through moments of hardship, moments when they feel like they're not enough, when they feel overwhelmed, when they feel like they can't take another step. And that's okay. That's part of the human experience. There's no shame in admitting that you're struggling. In fact, it takes more strength to acknowledge your difficulties than it does to hide them. So often, we're taught that strength means never showing vulnerability, that we should always appear strong, composed, and in control. But the reality is that the strongest people are the ones who can admit when they're not okay, who can say, I'm struggling, but I'm going to keep going anyway. Struggling doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're trying, and that's what matters. It means that you're fighting through something difficult, and it takes an incredible amount of courage to face those moments head on, no matter how exhausting or painful they may be. The idea that we must always be strong, always be perfect, and never falter is a dangerous one. It sets us up for failure because it creates an impossible standard to meet. Nobody can always be strong. Nobody can always be at their best. Everyone has moments of doubt, of fear, of insecurity. The difference is not in whether you struggle or not, it's in how you respond to that struggle. Struggling doesn't define you. It doesn't make you weak. It simply means you're human, and humans face challenges. Struggling is part of growth. It's how we learn, how we adapt, how we build resilience. It's in the moments of struggle that we discover what we're truly capable of. We may not see it in the midst of it, but looking back, we realize that those difficult times were the very moments that shaped us into who we are. So when you find yourself struggling, when you feel like you're drowning, don't believe the lie that you're weak. Don't let yourself believe that you're failing just because things are hard. You're not failing. You're learning, you're growing, You're pushing through, and that, my friend, is what makes you strong. The ability to keep going when everything inside you tells you to give up. That is strength. Strength is not about never struggling. It's about acknowledging the struggle and deciding that you're not going to let it define you. You are not weak for struggling. You are human, and that makes you infinitely strong. The mind is a battlefield. Either you fight for yourself or you lose to yourself. This is a truth many of us ignore, and yet it is one of the most profound realities of human existence. The struggle within our minds isn't just a passing thought or a fleeting moment of discomfort. It is a war that rages constantly. Every day we are faced with battles of doubt, fear, anxiety, guilt, and the pressure of expectations, both external and internal. These are not just random thoughts. They are forces that shape the very core of who we are, who we become, and how we live our lives. Whether we realize it or not, we are in a battle for our own peace, our own happiness, and our own self-worth. Too often, we allow the negative voices in our heads to dictate the course of our lives. We listen to the inner critic that tells us we're not good enough, smart enough, or worthy enough. We let the fear of failure paralyze us, the anxiety of the unknown keep us stuck, and the weight of our past mistakes crush our potential. But this internal struggle is not something we are doomed to lose. It's not inevitable that we will succumb to these forces. We have the power to choose how we respond to them. The mind, while it may feel chaotic and out of control at times, is still ours to command. We have the ability to shift our perspective, challenge our beliefs, and rewrite the narrative of our lives, but this requires conscious effort. It requires us to fight for our mental health, our happiness, and our well-being. It's easy to ignore the war within. It's easy to distract ourselves with work, social media, or endless activities to avoid confronting the discomfort in our minds. But by doing so, we only delay the inevitable. The longer we allow the negative thoughts to rule our minds unchecked, the more powerful they become. Over time, they build up and create a mindset of defeat, a belief that we're helpless in the face of our own struggle. The truth is, this war is not one we can afford to ignore. We can't afford to let our minds become a battlefield we are afraid to step onto. The key to winning this battle lies in how we approach it. First, we must acknowledge that the mind is a battlefield. It is not a place of peace, but of conflict. Once we understand this, we can begin to make choices that allow us to take control. We must fight the negative thoughts with positive affirmations, replace self-doubt with self-belief, and transform fear into motivation. It's not easy. It takes practice, consistency, and patience. But just like any battle, we must show up every day, even when it feels like we're losing. Every small victory over our inner demons is a step toward reclaiming our power. The battle isn't about winning every fight. It's about showing up day after day to stand firm against the forces that seek to defeat us. It's about recognizing that we are the ones who hold the sword in this war. It's about realizing that no matter how overwhelming the battle may seem, we are not alone. We have the strength, the resilience, and the tools within us to overcome the mental challenges that stand in our way. So, the question is not whether you will face battles within your mind. It's whether you will fight for yourself or let yourself be defeated by your own thoughts. The choice is yours, and it is in your hands.